Okay, students, I have Mr. Michael Wilensky. He is kind enough to give us a little interview about court reporting and his experience in the legal profession with court reporters. So I'm going to ask him to introduce himself and tell you a little bit about himself, and then we're going to talk about court reporting and your career. So take it away.
Good morning. My name is Michael Wilensky, and I have been a lawyer in the state of Florida for 39 years. I have attended, I'm sure, over 1,000 depositions and had over 100 jury trials, probably about 70 of them going to verdict and the rest of them settling during trial. And I have quite a bit of experience with court reporters, good, bad, and in between, so I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, so we are doing grammar for court reporters, so obviously that deals with transcripts and the importance of going over with a fine-tooth comb the transcript and making sure there's no errors in it, punctuation, spelling, etc. So from your perspective, I guess to you, what do you consider to be a good transcript when you look at one, and what would be a bad transcript, which unfortunately I'm sure you've experienced?
It is actually kind of a difficult question because there are competing interests. On the one hand, I would love to have my court reporters clean me up as they prepare a transcript and make my sometimes not so well structured sentences sound better than they actually were in reality. But ultimately, that's not a fair thing to ask of a court reporter. And what is the most important thing to me is that all of the questions and all of the objections and all of the answers be taken down and produced in the transcript accurately. And accuracy is the number one priority for a court reporter, in my opinion. And as a trial attorney, it's the number one thing that I need in my transcripts.
Okay, so if you're in a deposition and perhaps it's getting very heated and there's lots of argument, or a witness is speaking very fast or very low and can't be heard, is it appropriate for a court reporter to interrupt at that point?
It is, but court reporters have to exercise discretion when they do so. If one of the examples you mentioned is where the attorneys get involved in bickering or arguing that is not necessarily germane to the testimony of the witness, that's a relatively unimportant thing to me in most transcripts. And to the extent that a court reporter throws his or her hands up and says, "You guys are all yelling at the same time, I can't get this on the record," I don't have a problem with that. I think that a court reporter is well served to do that, to notify the lawyers that they're making his or her job impossible. And that does happen from time to time. Hopefully not often in my experience. However, there are other times when court reporters need to make the attorneys aware that they're having an issue, whether it's an issue with somebody on the telephone who's making noise and making it hard for the court reporter to hear, or whether it's an issue with a translator who has a thick accent and you're not getting everything the translator says, or a doctor who's using hyper-technical terms and going at 1,000 miles an hour. A court reporter needs to speak up when he or she is in danger of losing the integrity of the transcript, and that is the most important thing. And I mean, obviously you want to try not to do that in the middle of an answer or even in the middle of a question, but you've got to do it and you've got to speak up before it's too late. So it's a delicate thing for a court reporter to get good at. You have to know not only why to speak up, but when to speak up. And it's something that experience teaches better than anything else.
Okay, well, on that note, thank you so much for your time. That was very helpful, and I know these students, their goal was to get out of school and work with an attorney just like you someday and work on these very interesting cases.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck to you all.